A guarantee? Too few world-class athletes have made the transition to find out. This week, though, Darren Clark took the gamble of his life. The Commonwealth Games 400 metres champion has traded a gold medal for the gold jumper of Balmain Rugby League Club.
It's hard to imagine a bigger gamble. A rugby union coach who's never so much as played league, and now a 24-year-old Olympic hopeful whose last match was as a schoolboy 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, it is a gamble. I'm well aware of that, but I've discussed it with Darren. I mean, he's a competitor. He's not new to this game. He's played rugby league. I have spoken to Benny Elias and Paul Sirinen. He's played with Ciro before, and they all think he can play a bit, or could play then.
It's an idea Clark has toyed with for some years, but it was the growing frustration of competing against athletes he claims are fueled by drugs, which has proven to be the final straw.
And it's been a proven fact that I think it's 4 or 5 of my competitors have now been put out of the sport because they've been taking drugs, and one of those guys beat me for the bronze medal in Los Angeles. So, you know, when you're up against things like that, it's very difficult. You know, these guys are good enough as, you know, naturally, let alone going on steroids and performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, it's like running into a brick wall. It's just not, I don't see any point in doing that anymore.
Despite his concentration on 400-metre events, Clark has run a hand-timed 10.1 second 100 metres. Balmain say he could be as much as 6 metres quicker than any other player. Athletics experts say it could be closer to 2 or 3, but either way it revives memories of 60s sprint kings like Michael Cleary, a 1962 Commonwealth Games bronze medalist in the 100 yards, who played for Australia in rugby union and rugby league.
I don't know about now, but I'm going to be a lot quicker in 12 months' time than I've ever been before, so that'll be interesting.
But speed alone may not be enough. For a start, you don't get to run 100 metres in rugby league all that often. Nor, as boxer Jeff Fennick showed in his league foray, is it enough to have the competitive instincts of a champion. Most first graders have spent their lifetimes working on one specific goal, and that's been rugby league.
It's not as if I haven't touched a football for 10 years, you know. I mean, I basically live with the football when I'm not on the running track. But yeah, it's going to be hard, and all those things I'm going to be practicing every single day. So, I mean, but in 12 months' time, I really don't know where I'm going to be at, but I'll certainly be trying hard at it.
The move shows plenty about Balmain's new rugby-styled kick and chase attack, though. Reinforcing it is the signing this week of New South Wales representative 5'8" John Mulverhill.
I think we can take a bit of the defence out of the game. I think there's room for a lot more use of the ball and a lot more use of the paddock. And I think that will indicate that there will be some emphasis on a kicking game as well, and kicking and chasing.
But it's Clark who'll steal the most attention with the biggest gamble of his life.
Don't tell them to grow up out of it.
Yes, it is a remarkable story. Darren Clark has been the fastest white man in the last 2 Olympic 400-metre finals. And when you take a look at just how fast he has run 400 metres compared with the other great Australian runners, you see how superior he has been in this country. Darren's best time for 400 metres is 44.38. Only 4 Australians have broken 45 seconds. Miles Murphy is the second fastest, then Rick Mitchell, who won an Olympic silver medal, and Robert Stone. So he really has been quite outstanding. You know, I've said on record before, I think he's the outstanding track athlete I've seen in this country in the last 10 years. I think his performances at the Olympic Games were quite outstanding. I just get the feeling that he's lost the love for athletics, and he's joined us this morning. Darren, is it as much that you have just lost that edge, that love for the sport that you've made such an impact in, or is it really the opportunity of playing in another sport at another level?
Well, yes, Bruce, it is true that I have lost a bit of the love, and a bit of the desire has gone out of athletics now. After 2 Olympics and, you know, 2 Commonwealth Games, I feel now that it's time to move on. And I've always wanted to play rugby league, and I've had the opportunity given to me by Balmain, and, you know, it is a gamble, but it's something that I'm prepared to go through with, and I really want to have a go.
Darren, who initiated the contact between you and the club?
Alan Jones.
And so you were mates with Alan Jones, and he talked you into it, or?
No, I wasn't talked into it, Bruce. It's something, as I said, I've wanted to do all my life, and I just never really had the opportunity to go through and play rugby league because various commitments in Europe, with the Grand Prix season, and also back home here in Australia, and also leading up to the Commonwealth Games, it was just very hard for me to to think about football, on a full-time basis. But now I've given up athletics, and I can now, train full-time and give it my best shot.
And what's involved with the training? You're going to have to sort of build up a little bit of bulk in preparation to take hits and things like that, which you wouldn't do on the track?
Yeah, I'll have to build up a little bit, Bruce, but Alan doesn't want me to change too much, just wants me to get a little bit faster. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of hard work, but I've got good support through Alan Jones and also the rest of the Balmain players. The feeling down at Balmain at the moment is fantastic, and everybody's really enthused and, looking forward to the new season.
Darren, from a financial point of view, you're one of the top runners in the world. You probably haven't made nearly as much money as a Lewis or a Johnson, etc., etc. But you're married. You've got a boy, Ryan, who's about 13 months of age. I mean, did this come into your feeling at all that you weren't going to make a big living out of athletics in the next 5 years?
Well, not really. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to make a big living out of football either, Bruce. But I mean, as you say, it's a gamble. But it's not so much the money that's the big factor here. It's just the fact that I want to try it, and I really, want to do well. I can't really tell how I'm going to go, but it's something I've always wanted to do, and I'm really grateful to Balmain that I've had the opportunity really to give it a go.
So have you closed the door on Barcelona? Does that mean there's no way that Darren Clarke will be going to Barcelona?
Well, it'd be very difficult at this stage, Bruce, because I'll be training very hard to succeed at league, and also once the amateur status is gone, it does take a fair while to get reinstated again. So I haven't really gone into the minor details at this stage. When Keith Barnes gets back from Europe with the Kangaroos, we'll sit down and discuss the finer details of the contract. Is it a concession by you that you feel that unless you took steroids, you couldn't win an Olympic gold medal? Yes, I believe that, Bruce. It's got to the stage now where it's very bad, and we have a problem in track and field. 5 athletes that I've competed against over the last 2 years have been banned already because they've been using performance-enhancing drugs. And I just really just don't see the point in competing against people that are using drugs. I mean, I'm not the only one that feels like that, but I've just had enough, and I'm sick and tired of doing that. So I want to move on and try something that I've always wanted to do anyway. I guess this is going to be a hard one for you to answer, but I think you will, honestly. Have you been tempted to take steroids yourself? Was there a situation in your life where you thought, well, look, I want to win this gold medal, I'm going to take these things? I've never ever sort of gone close, but yeah, I have thought about it. I'd be a lie to say I hadn't, and I'm sure a lot of other athletes have too. Back in 1987, where when I got a severe injury, and I got knocked out in the semi-finals in Rome. I was sort of under the belief that these guys are doing it, maybe I'm going to have to do it to win, but I'm not prepared to take that road to glory. I don't think I could live with myself, and I've got morals, and it's very different in Australia, Bruce. I can go to the Olympics and come fourth 2 years in a row, 2 Olympics in a row, and I can still hold down a job, or I can still support my family. Whereas some of these athletes from America, and Ben Johnson, for instance, if Ben Johnson wasn't an Olympic gold medalist, he'd probably be working at McDonald's, a poor little buggy, but that's the way it is. But we're a bit lucky in this country that, athletics isn't everything. But in some countries, if you're not an Olympic gold medalist, you're nobody. Interesting from an athletics point of view. I'd imagine Athletics Australia would be very disappointed with you being lost to the sport. Has anyone rung you up? Has David Prince, the president, rung you up and had a chat to you? No, I haven't even spoken to Athletics Australia or anybody involved in athletics for about 6 months. When you look back on your track and field career, which race are you going to look back on with most satisfaction? I'd say Auckland, and also in Seoul. The main thing is, Bruce, in my athletics career I gave it 100%, and that's the best I could have done, and I know that I gave it my best shot, even though there's probably still a slight improvement left in me. I just really don't see that improvement's good enough to win in Barcelona. But at least I know I've given it my best shot in all the other competitions that I went in, so I'm very happy. I'm not bitter about the sport in that respect. Well, Darren, thanks for joining us this morning, and good luck with the Balmain Tigers. I'll never forget an 18-year-old boy in Los Angeles leading the field into the straight in the Olympic 400-metre final. It was a wonderful day. Yeah, thanks very much. Darren Clarke, who's going to be trying out with the Balmain Tigers, and we wish him luck. Athletics loss, and who knows, maybe rugby league's gain. We take a break on Sports World. Plenty more coming up after this. Captain Wally Lewis, and he joins us this morning. Wally, there's been a fair bit of criticism this morning from the Australian coach directed at the French referee. How did you see it watching the match last night?
Well, I've got to agree with Bob Fulton there, Bruce. The refereeing certainly didn't help Australia all that much. But then again, both sides had to play under him, although England seemed to receive a lot more penalties than Australia did. But I thought Australia just fell down a little bit, and I'm not just saying that because I'm not there, but you know, the refereeing wasn't all that great, but I didn't think our play was either.
In terms of major upset and shocks, I've already mentioned that they're saying it's one of the biggest in the sport. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, I think so. Everybody was expecting this Kangaroo side to really coast through the Test match. I must admit, I thought that as well. The team on paper really did look far too strong for the Englishmen. Even though Laurie Daly didn't have the chance to strengthen Australia's team, I thought Ricky Stewart's kicking game really would be a great factor in the match, and one which would really swing it Australia's way. Unfortunately, Stewart didn't get the opportunity very much in the match to provide Australia with some of his long kicks to get them in good field position. That's a part of our game I thought we fell down in badly.
The match was played at Wembley. We know it's the mecca of soccer in England. Is it also the mecca of rugby league?
Yes, it is. Everybody that plays rugby league really dreams about Wembley. Of course, it's the scene of the Challenge Cup finals in England, and that's between the two teams left in a knockout type competition, and they often get crowds of around, well, they used to get them around about the 110,000. They expected a crowd of around about 80,000 for this Test match, and only got one around about 60. But to be able to walk onto, as they call it, the hallowed turf of Wembley is certainly an occasion that you never ever forget, although I suppose our blokes would really wish that they could forget it this time.
Pity there was 50,000 witnesses, say. Did the English do anything that would have surprised you or you know, added to the defeat of Australia?
I think the Englishmen really kept coming at the Australians, and most people, including myself, expected the English assault to really stop around about the 60-minute mark. Three-quarter way through the game is usually when Australia's dominance really proves the difference between the two teams. And I was looking for that around about that stage last night. But once they got the scent of victory, they really kicked on and denied the best of their abilities. And they really will go into this Test match, the second one, to be played at Leeds. They'll go into that match knowing that they've got to be not played at Leeds, to be played at Manchester. They'll go into that match with a really good attitude. They'll have their tails in the air, and they know that they haven't got a second chance anymore. If they lose this one, that's a Test series.
Don't come home. Do you think they were a little bit confident going into the first Test? Overconfident?
Well, maybe they were, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It often works to your advantage, but where I thought we fell down a little bit was that we just didn't play a kicking game early. I thought we should have tried to turn them around a lot more than we did, get them on the back foot and get them into that feeling of, oh, here we go again. They're too quick for us. They're playing us at their own game, and we can't compete with them.
What about your own situation, Wally? There's been a thought that you may go over and play in a match against Australia there. You have been made an offer to play for one of the county teams, haven't you?
Yes, I have, yeah.
What's going to happen? Are you considering that?
At this stage, I don't know whether I'm going to go over or not. I've got to go over there in a week and a half's time for a couple of testimonial functions in England, and that will coincide with the same sort of time that club does play against the Australians, but I don't think that'll be happening just yet.
Wally, we had Darren Clark on the show this morning, and he's signed up to play with Balmain. How do you think he might go?
Well, he's certainly got the speed to be a success in the game. Darren will control his own destiny from now on. He's a guy that's probably got to learn a little bit about the game before he really attacks it full on, and he's got a very good coach in Alan Jones who will teach him the basics of the game. He's renowned for that, Jones. He makes sure that everybody that takes the football field really can handle the football very well and knows exactly what they're doing. But if he adapts to that well and his attitude is right, which I have no reason to believe it shouldn't be, he should be a success, because he's a determined sort of a fellow that never seems to give up in athletics, and that attitude will do him a lot of good in rugby league.
Wally, is there any hope that you may play in one of the final tests for Australia if you are in England?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Dr. Nathan Gibbs ruled me out and said that I wasn't fit to play. My own doctor tells me that I was fit to play, and I still am. And if I want to play while I'm over there, well, then I can, but that won't be for an Australian side. Do
you think you'll play for Australia again?
I'd like to, because that's the pinnacle of rugby league, and it's something that I've always felt very proud about for years, to have the opportunity to represent the best country in the world. And if I can prove that I'm worthy of getting a green and gold jersey during the State of Origin series next year, well, then I'll feel very glad about that, but I won't be holding my breath.
When we get to the end of 1990, what are you going to look back on your testimonial year? It's been an interesting one, hasn't it?
It's been an absolute disaster, Bruce, to be very honest. I've had more injuries in the past 12, 14 months than I had in the previous 25 years of football. And, you know, in the testimonial year itself, it really has ensured that that wasn't going to be the success that I was hoping that it would. But, well, the only thing I can look forward to is that I can say that it can't get any worse, because everything that could go wrong did go wrong this year, and hopefully I'll be able to make 1991 a little bit more successful. I've got a change of club, so I've got a bright outlook on it.
Just looking back on the year, you said it was a disaster. Do you think your form was good enough to actually warrant selection in the Kangaroos?
Well, that's a very hard question, John. It's the form itself. I really didn't have a chance to display very much form at all, because at the end of the season, I missed about the last 12 or 13 games because of the broken arm. I only got a chance to play 14 or 15 minutes of football. So they had to judge me on my form halfway through the season. Really, it wasn't a case of whether I was in form at the time. It was a case of whether I was fit or not.
How have you handled this situation, Wally? Because you've been the king for so long. You've been, everyone has looked up to you as the greatest player. And then suddenly people have turned their backs on you this year. They've doubted your abilities. And, you know, it's almost as if your world has crashed down around you. How have you handled that as a man personally?
Well, it certainly made me think and decide whether I've got any character or not, whether I can come back from it. And I suppose I've got to wait until next season to be able to prove that to myself, or realise that it really has finished and it's about time to pull the plug and retire. But I've still got confidence in my own ability. It's just up to me now to be able to prove that. I hope that I can do it, but if anything, 1990 has just given me determination, and that really is something that I'll be able to work on, I think, next year.
Well, Wally, we've got to go. Thanks very much for joining us, and we appreciate your comments, and good luck for next year, and we wish the Kangaroos good luck in the following 2 tests.
Thanks very much, Bruce.
Wally Lewis, the king of Australian Rugby League. Australia losing 19-12 to Great Britain overnight. After the break, Grand Prix boats.